Okay, we are live on the YouTube.
All right, welcome back everybody to House Energy and Digital Infrastructure. We are here to learn about cybersecurity on the legislative IT system. I'm Representative Kathleen James from Manchester.
Richard Bailey from Memorial 2.
Chris Farrell in Windsor, Bennington. Michael Southworth, Caledonia 2.
Christopher Howland, Rutland 4.
Derek Torrey, Washington 2.
Graham Kleppner, Chittenden 13, Burlington.
Laura Spilliam, Wyndham 2.
Jack Locker, Committee Assistant.
Kevin Moore, Director of IT for the General Assembly.
Rain Torres, Network Security Administrator for the General Assembly.
All right, welcome everybody. All right, so for the record, I guess, take it away, Kevin.
All right. So good morning. First off, thank you for having us in again. Just to start off, again, our focus as legislative IT is a little bit different than the other two branches of government, but you'll notice a lot of similarities throughout our presentation because cybersecurity is quite consistent across information systems. But with that said, we're going to jump right into the mix here. We're looking forward to talking about what we mean about cybersecurity posture, what that means to us, the core elements of our cybersecurity posture, what a review roughly looks like for us, how we action that, what the architectural maturity impacts are, and then a few metrics at the end just to make sure everybody has a general idea of how well we're doing. Skipping forward. General introductions here, we just made them a moment ago. Myself and Rain Torres are going to be presenting today. It'll primarily be myself talking, but Rain's here to keep me honest in case I miss something or mess something up. Today's presentation does indeed look at this from a high level perspective. It is an open meeting, so we're quite sensitive about what we talk about on that open record. We'll avoid any operational specifics, but as always, and as I mentioned previously, we are happy to talk about anything in any level of depth that you would like to know about our information systems in an appropriate setting. What do we mean by cybersecurity posture? So our posture refers to our overall readiness. How can we prevent, respond, and monitor any kind of information security that works throughout our organization. We focus on building resilience, not just to stop threats, but to adapt and recover quickly in the event that there is an incident. Joe mentioned it last time. It's a great thing. It's not when, or excuse me, it's not if, it's when. And then there's another phrase I like to bring up. There are two types of organizations out there, those who have been compromised and those who don't know that they've been compromised. But there is always a risk. And it's about mitigating risk and finding the acceptable risk based off of technologies in use and the business case that you have. We prioritize continuous improvement for adaptability. We leverage multiple technologies as force multipliers for our very small team. Core elements of our cybersecurity posture are pretty straightforward. We have governance and oversight. Let me back up a little bit. You know, one thing that I should do is tell you a little bit about ourselves and our qualifications. That's not something that we did had in our presentation, but I did notice that the last two presenters talked about that. The vast majority of our staff have cut their teeth on either federal information systems or military information systems. I myself worked for the Army National Guard. Third of the 172nd Infantry, moved over to Joint Force Headquarters after a period of time. I've worked in communications security for about 15 years at this point. Rain Torres, 20 years of network security experience. You have Sean Allen, our systems administrator. Most of you know him. He covers down a lot for our help desk as well. He's the E8 Master Sergeant in charge for the Joint, and it's the JISC, Joint Incident Site Communications Capability. For the Vermont Army National Guard as we speak. I worked for the Defense Cyber Operations element at one point, and I was part of the critical infrastructure team supporting civilian infrastructure in the event of catastrophes. So we have a lot of experience. Oh, and I forgot, I should also mention that Duncan Goss, our former IT director years ago, is now our systems analyst and business manager, spent a few years for the working for the NSA as well before coming into state government. So collectively, we have about 55 years of cybersecurity related experience just within our small team. And as with any other project that we have or any other component of our organization, IT organization, we wear many hats and we share responsibilities across those domains. Okay. So governance oversight, we'll break these down in just a moment. Technical safeguards, leveraging external resources, monitoring, detection, preparedness and response, workforce awareness, and security first mindset. Those are the 4 elements of our security posture here at the Montreal Health Center. Governance and oversight specifically. So we operate under very well-established cybersecurity practices and procedures. You heard the term TTP yesterday, I believe, tactics, techniques, and procedures. Very common language used within our industry. Those are often developed by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. I always mess that one up. We get a lot of information from the Defense Information Systems Agency, as long with the Center for Internet Security, CIS. Our adherence to these protocols ensures that we are always up to date on the latest trends in information security and that we are working towards an improved system at all times. We leverage multiple technologies. I did not list the specific technologies as Judiciary did a moment ago. Again, I tend to err on the side of caution, maybe a little bit too much at times. But we leverage very common technologies that you'll hear across banking industry, you'll hear across other areas of state government, whether that's legislative, judicial, or executive, as well as federal government. So multi-factor authentication, right? That's a very common tool that we use now to ensure that there's more that we know beyond just a password and a username that you are indeed you. Multi-factor authentication uses at least two elements of typically 3 identities. So it's something you are, something you have, and something you know. So something you are, obviously, think like biometrics, thumbprints, things like that. Something you have, which would be either like a token or a password, something of that nature, and then something you know. I think I messed that up a little bit, but either way, so password, username, and then a specific token code, for example. Those are things that we leverage when it comes to multi-factor authentication. We use encryption, right? Varying types of encryption depending on what system we're talking about. We encrypt data at rest. We encrypt data in transit. We want to make sure that at any given point that if that information is intercepted by a bad actor, that we have indeed protected it and that it is worthless to them. We encrypt our hardware. So this device is encrypted. Your iPads are encrypted. Anything that we issue out has encryption built into it to ensure that we protect your information as best as possible. We use the latest generation of next generation firewalls. It leverages machine learning and artificial intelligence, depending on what area of that technology we're talking about. We use what's called network segmentation. We ensure that any given part of our network, for example, our Wi-Fi systems, our hardwire systems, they're each segmented in various ways to ensure that information doesn't bleed from one side or one portion of the network to the other. We use isolation techniques. We want to make sure that your devices are safe when you connect to our infrastructure and that you only get the information you're looking for and nobody else is snooping or otherwise looking at your stuff. We use a huge number of automatic threat intelligence feeds. We get those from various places, much like I mentioned before, CIS. Where are we getting? I have the notes here.
CISA is one of the lists. Palo Alto and Gray.
Gray Noise.
Gray Noise.
Yes. And I'm forgetting a couple other ones here, but we use a ton of automatic threat intelligence feeds. And the reason that we use those is because there are massive teams at these organizations that do nothing but look at and analyze this type of information all day long. And so we rely on their work. We use their work in order to make our work more effective. It's a huge force multiplier for us, especially for a small team.
Quick story. Is that a subscription that you?
Some are subscriptions, some are free services, depending on what we're talking about. So we are ingesting the MS-ISAC list right now, the MS-ISAC multi-state, hang on, I got that one written down too. Oh, in front of me, Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center. That's a group, an organization that we are a member of. And as such, we're able to ingest a lot of that information free, which is great. And that comes to us at least weekly for that particular list. Sometimes, depending on the list, it can be updated as often as hourly. So very, very dynamic stuff. Endpoint protection. We have Let me make sure I'm looking at my notes here. I keep skipping over those. So we use advanced endpoint protection software to monitor and secure our devices against malware and unauthorized access. It also provides us a deeper level of analysis in the event that we need to respond to something that is an anomaly or otherwise matches a standard signature for a threat that is known to the industry. We use a tool called XDR. It's an extended detection and response. That extended detection and response tool is a much more powerful type of endpoint protection than what we would traditionally think of as like an antivirus or anti-malware type of software application that most average home users or small businesses would use. Very intelligent level of technology brings us to a portal that allows us to do deep dive analysis or otherwise compare endpoints across the organization to make sure things are doing what they're supposed to do, or otherwise isolate them in the event of an issue, and then give us the analysis that's necessary to proceed in a safe way. We also use a tool, and you all have used it, and you're probably not aware of it, except for when your email is a little slow to be delivered. So Microsoft 365 Advanced Threat Protection, it's been rebranded a couple of times, but I'm sticking with this particular name for the moment. And this particular technology actually will open in a safe environment attachments in your email. It does things like safe links. So it analyzes the links that are sent in your email. And it will go through and I think the word they use is detonate in the inbox. That's Microsoft's language, not mine. So they detonate the application or the attachment in a sandbox environment that's safe, check to make sure that it is indeed safe, and then pass it along. In the event that it's not, it'll automatically remove it from your email, replace that message with the fact that it has been removed because it's as a malicious attachment, and it keeps on working for everybody. Most of the time, this is invisible to everybody here. This is something that most of us don't see or even know that happens. The processing time is 15 seconds, 60 seconds. But I think we did it was an analysis a couple of years ago now, somewhere around 6% of the time, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm a little fuzzy on it. It takes as long as 5 minutes to process something on average, I would say. And the reason being is that this is a shared resource pool in all of Microsoft 365 environment. So when you have peaks of usage throughout the Microsoft tenant, it slows it down a little bit. That's just what it comes down to. Things kind of get in line and it processes as quickly as possible. So if you're sending an attachment that is time sensitive, please send it with a little bit of notice and it'll start with gift cross. Moving forward, talking a little bit more about our internal resources and partnerships. So again, we leverage several different technologies and practices. I mentioned MSISAC a little bit ago. Not only do we get external dynamic lists from them for edge security, they also do cyber hygiene reporting for us. And what that is they will analyze the applications and systems we have on the internet edge that are internet facing periodically for us and send us a report automatically. So it's a third party. It's a free service. Again, we leverage as many free services as we possibly can because we're a very small team with a very small budget. And we want to make sure that we get the biggest bang for our buck. We also get a cyber hygiene report from CISA periodically, and that's the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency at the federal level. We use something called STIGs, Security Technical Implementation Guides, from the Center for Internet Security. It's a bit jargony, but what this really does for us is it allows us to harden our information systems against cyber threats. So, for example, in enterprise environment, we use what's called a operating system image. That image is consistent across every single device that we have. In order to make sure that that device is going to be as secure as possible, we evaluate that before pushing it out to a production environment against these STIGs. Again, automatic tools to analyze whether or not we're meeting those benchmarks or not. And then we make calculated decisions based off of acceptable risk and business decisions that we have to keep in mind. DISA, the Defense, help me out here, Information Systems Agency. We do a lot of work with them as well. get information from them. And then, of course, because we are a legislative entity, we coordinate with the National Conference of State Legislatures, but mostly with the NAILIT, the National Association of Legislative Information Technology. And so across all 50 states, we are able to talk to our colleagues and peers and see what's happening at their level, what's actively targeting legislatures, or if there's a known threat, we can get an early heads up that's another state might be dealing with. We do a lot of information sharing. We have an annual conference that's held in a different state each year, and we're able to coordinate and share resources as necessary. It's a fantastic resource that comes to us at a very, very low cost. Monitoring and detection. We use, again, a lot of similar technologies. I did not listen here, and if you would like us to talk about them, we certainly can do so. But we proactively monitor for suspicious activity using multiple automated tools. It allows us to respond quickly to any anomalies, non-compliant endpoints, and other potential concerns. That other potential concerns is a little broad, but cybersecurity is a broad industry. It's something that we have to make sure that we're a nimble group with. We use real-time alerting, which ensures a rapid response to potential threats. I wish I could tell you that we tracked our specific response times, but again, we're a small team. If that data is just not valuable to our small team right now, we turn around and we respond rapidly. I would liken it to our help desk services. It is quick. We take great pride in being very fast in our response times. Preparedness. Preparedness is really where cybersecurity shines a light on an enterprise environment. If you're not prepared, it just doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what your response is. We want to prevent as much as possible, and we want to make sure that our staff is as well aware of cybersecurity as possible. So our incident response procedures are in place and reviewed routinely. As issues are identified, we adjust. This is a living and breathing program. This is nothing static, so we are constantly adjusting. Our staff incorporates updates to these procedures, make sure we're prepared, backups, recovery procedures, business continuity protocols in partnership with the Sergeant at Arms are well established, and that is to ensure minimal disruption in the event of an incident. Again, two types of organizations, those who've been compromised and those who don't know they've been compromised. We also, like our other branches of government, colleagues and other branches of government, maintain a cybersecurity insurance policy by the Office of Risk Management. We're in the process of updating our application now for June 30th this year. Really want to emphasize something about our workforce awareness. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. And there are individuals in our organization, whether they're elected officials or staff members, rank and file staff members, who sometimes are a little nonchalant about cybersecurity. Well, what are they going to do with my email? What are they going to do with the document I wrote? It's a public document, right? All I do is I log on to a computer to enter my expenses. And I would probably prefer that we don't do that anyway, right? Why can't you just do it for me? The reality of it is cybersecurity is more than just being on a computer itself. There's things, phishing. We're all aware of what phishing is. But there's also a type of cybersecurity concern such as social engineering or phishing. Cold calls are a great way. We've been the recipient of cold calls in the past to various offices that have authority within the organization. Say, hey, we're with Microsoft or we're with Xerox or we're with whatever common technology that's out there, and your account's overdue. We need you to pay for it today. Otherwise, we're going to shut down your services, right? Or, hey, we need your account information in order to validate that you are indeed you. Well, that's right. So we want to make sure that we identify these threats early and often. And so cybersecurity is indeed everyone's responsibility. We want to make sure that we take this seriously. We want to make sure that everybody is well informed and well trained as best as possible. As we're developing new technologies or as we are moving through our existing technologies, we always look at it with a security first mindset. The most secure system is a system that's non-functional. Right. We jokingly say within our operations and other operations I've been a part of that we would have the most secure system if it wasn't for the people. People are indeed the most common threat vector for any type of organization. So we got to make sure that we train people and that they have a security first mindset. We do proactive phishing simulations. We conduct random phishing simulations throughout the environment. We're not going to tell you when. We're not going to tell you who. We're not going to tell you how. There are only 2 people in the organization that have any idea that they're happening at any given point, and those 2 people are in the room right now. Madam Chair.
Kevin, I do have a question. It's the one I've just been asking everybody to bring it all the way down to the grassroots. I think there are plans in the works to start training all of us.
Yes.
Are you going to talk about that? Because I think that's great.
So yes, so we are going to begin incorporating Delia Gillen, our IT trainer. Unfortunately, she's on a temporary leave of absence right now, dealing with a family situation. But she's actually drafting up some flyers for us. You're going to see pop up pretty soon. They're going to be in your mailboxes, and we're going to be talking about two things. One of those is enrolling the remainder of legislators who are not currently enrolled in multi-factor authentication in it, and making sure that everybody has access to it. There are two benefits of that. One is that it's a more secure system, right? The other one is that if you travel abroad outside of the continental United States, right now, if you are not enrolled in multi-factor authentication, you will not have any access to our information systems whatsoever. It will not exist. That includes email, that includes websites, so on and so forth. So those are areas that we're looking to improve around multi-factor authentication. In addition to that, we're going to start incorporating legislators in our quarterly cybersecurity awareness training. You'll see that next bullet point down there. All staff are currently enrolled in that. In addition to our proactive phishing simulations, which do come with training if you fail those. So we want to make sure we're providing what's called just-in-time training, keeping security, cybersecurity awareness top of mind as often as possible. And we're in current conversations with a different provider at this point to actually potentially increase the type of training and the frequency of training. For those of you who might have worked in some sort of corporate environment or enterprise environment outside of here, there used to be an annual cybersecurity awareness training, right? It was a mandatory thing. You sat in the classroom or you took an online course for an hour, hour and a half, and then you promptly forgot it as soon as you walked out of the door until you had to come back and sign that certificate saying you did indeed take that training. We want to provide just-in-time training as often as possible. What's happening now? Tax season, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens around tax season. There's a lot of stuff that happens around end of fiscal year. There's a lot of stuff that happens around various times of year, depending on what's happening. The holiday season is a huge time frame for fake information and phishing information to come out. So we want to make sure that we're matching what's happening out in the real world along with our training and making sure that everybody has the best information possible to be able to be prepared. So hopefully that answered your question, Madam Chair, but the answer is yes, those flyers are coming out imminently.
Great. And yes. Thank you.
Security posture reviews and architectural maturity. So we do indeed conduct what's called the security posture review. This is a little bit different than the technical end of things, which would be like penetration testing or deep dive policy analysis. So those security posture reviews are consultant led, and we rotate consultants periodically because we don't want to sit with the same vendor over and over. And we want to make sure that we're doing them as frequently as our budget and time allows, ideally at least once a year. And what they do is they assess the maturity of our architecture, but our posture as well, making sure that we're not only using the right tools, but using them as effectively as possible. And if there's a gap, we identify that gap as quickly as possible, look for various technologies, tactics, or procedures in order to fill those gaps, and make sure that we are indeed moving our organization into a more secure posture. They provide us detailed evaluation of our systems, policies, processes, and will ensure they align with industry standards and best practices. A lot of times, these are backstopped by the same organizations we use daily: NIST, CISA, DISA, CIS, as mentioned previously. Again, findings inform continuous improvements. This is a living program. We really want to emphasize that. Cybersecurity is not static. It is a daily evolution. Our security architectural maturity is continually assessed. Improvements are made as needed, regardless of time of day, regardless of time of week, regardless of what's going on. Security comes first. We address evolving threats and new technologies. These periodic reviews are vital, absolutely vital to ensure our defenses remain resilient in the face of emerging threats.
Do you say that?
Sorry, Brett Bailey?
So, of course, the one that sticks in our mind or sticks in my mind is when UVM get hacked into very badly. Do you know what created that problem?
So,
and are you set up to avoid that kind of attack?
So I was not read into that specifically because I'm not part of that response team. But from what I understand publicly is, generally speaking, it wasn't what's called an open network share is how that information was allowed, that threat was allowed to traverse their network. And so open information shares were a very common way to share data across the network quickly and efficiently. The problem with that is that it also shares bad stuff across the network very quickly and efficiently. And as a result, multiple endpoints and multiple portions of their information system were compromised as a result. We very much are aware of those issues, and we do absolutely everything we can to prevent that. We have shut down information shares since I've come on board. We continuously evaluate if there's anything else out there. We have automatic alerts to let us know in the event that somebody creates a site, for example, that or elevation of privileges throughout our organization. You've heard about that in other presentations as well. So lots of automatic alerting and proactive alerting in the event that something like that occurs or is attempted to be created by a third party or somebody within our organization. So,
And you'd be able to stop it.
at this point in time, that particular threat is not something that would impact our environment. It would be prevented, yes.
Good.
Yeah, Rep. Kleppner.
So are the defenses, are they sort of automatically updated? Like the software security we have gets automatic downloads from
Portions of it. So threat libraries, for example, things like dynamic IP lists. We have, let me back up a couple of my notes here. I may have glossed over it. I want to make sure I'm giving you proper metrics here. Or that might be the next slide. That's the next slide. That's what it is. So for example, we have over 9,000 malicious IPs in our current list as of yesterday. And over the last 70 days, maybe I'll just jump slides here. Over the last 70 days, we stopped over 195,000 attempts to access those IP addresses. And it should be noted, 36 of those 195,000 logs were outbound. Remember, we have a large public footprint here. And so that's something we have to pay attention to. And we cannot secure every single device that walks into this building. So we have to secure the network and our internet edge in a way that's a little bit more robust than I would say the average enterprise organization.
Kevin, I apologize. I have to sneak out. Our ranking member, Representative
Take care,
Civilians,
Madam Chair.
officially in charge. Thank you for being here.
So 36 times that rule is triggered outbound. And so that's important. We operate on as close to a zero trust environment. You've heard that language as well in other presentations, and we continuously move towards a zero trust environment. We also do what's called the model of least privilege. We want to make sure that any individual has a role-based level of access within the organization. So if their role changes, or if it's a new hire, we provide them with the access they need to do their job and absolutely nothing more. That includes our IT staff. We separate our credentials. We do all sorts of things. We lock ourselves out of all sorts of things proactively to make sure that we can only access things intentionally. And we have audit trails based off of that. So lots of automatic updates. Some is, manual, but that's intentional in those areas. Looking at the metric sheet here, 100% of our workstation and server assets are covered by advanced endpoint protection, ensuring that they are secure against malware and other threats. Those are updated routinely. The information backing those up is updated dynamically as often as every hour. 100% multi-factor authentication adoption among all staff. That is something that is absolutely non-negotiable from a staff level. We're able to enforce that. We have a 43% highlighted in red MFA adoption among legislators, highlighted in red. Please spread the word. Schedule an appointment. If you're not enrolled, we will enroll you quickly and efficiently and make sure that you have the tools necessary. The bulk of our MFA adoption has come through attrition or otherwise forcing folks who are overseas. It's usually more of our long-serving legislators that are a bit resistant to these types of newer technologies. I understand. It's like when you're logging into your bank. When they started making you, hit that extra text code, that one-time password, or use a authenticator application, it's not convenient. Completely understand it's not convenient, but it is a necessary technology. It's an absolutely necessary technology for us.
Yes.
I don't recall being notified about this. Do you maybe want to have pop-ups on our login periodically to prompt us to enroll?
So not a big fan of that particular type of information delivery, but that is one of the flyers that we are putting out in legislators' mailboxes. We're going to start pushing through caucuses over the next few weeks. Again, Delia Gillen is our dedicated IT trainer, and we'll be enrolling folks as quickly as possible. But it's an ongoing effort. That's just the reality of it is. We could enforce this in a different way. So again, we come from a military or federal government background, and the way the military dealt with it is I would just shut off your account. I just shut it off and I force you to show up to my help desk. It's a very effective way, but that would interrupt the legislative process. And that is something, again, that you've heard from me last time. We don't want technology to be a barrier to the legislative process. So it's a fine line to walk. So yes, we're going to start forcing this. We have enforced it to a certain extent, and we're going to be dialing that up a little bit more based off of our most recent security posture review.
But we have to go to the help desk to set this up.
Correct.
Do it.
There's a portion that is required for us to help facilitate the token enrollment. And that token is that hardware-based device that provides you a rolling code.
Okay, thank you.
And it can be on your phone, if that's what you're thinking. I don't want to. It can be on your phone, but it's a convenience. We can't require it. It's a convenience, but we can certainly issue hardware dongles in the event that somebody would prefer to have something that's not associated with their iPad or their personal cell phone.
Okay, that was promised.
That's great. Average of 95% success rate across phishing simulations over the last 3 years. That's pretty darn good. Most organizations target about 10% or less. When we first started, we were hitting 12%, 14%, 17%, and we continue to dial that in over time. And again, we had to change our TTPs over time. Some of our staff are starting to become a little bit more vigilant about, is this IT phishing us? And then we'll start talking to each other. So again, we're going to change our tactics and how we roll those tests out to make sure that it is as real as possible when we send it out. And you'll not hear from us during those timeframes. We want to see how people respond. We want you to use that report messaging feature that is within our Outlook system. We want you to report it to our help desk. We want to see how people respond. And this is something we'll sit back kind of quietly on and make sure that people are responding effectively. And as you can see, 95% of the time, people are.
And how, I'm sorry.
Yes.
What's the next line of defense for someone who misses a phishing and clicks on the thing?
So it depends on the level of compromise. So it could be credential harvesting. Well, that one's kind of the easiest one to talk through. So let's say you have a phishing attempt. Then you go and provide them your username and your password. We look at things such as multi-factor authentication is the next level of defense. And for anybody who has access to critical information in this organization, they have multi-factor authentication enabled. We have varying degrees of MFA enabled at server operating level or application operating level. So we're able to trigger that. Beyond that, we have our extended XDR. We call it XDR. I'm trying not to use acronyms. Extended detection response applications use anomaly detection heuristic analysis in order to go through and say, hey, there's something wrong here. What if it's a downloaded attachment, for example, part of that phishing email? So we have varying levels and layers of technologies in place to go through. I look kind of corny. I like quoting Shrek here. Because ogres are like onions. They're not like pigs, right? They're like onions. There are many, many layers that make up security, information security. And so when you peel a layer back, no individual layer of that onion is secure, is perfectly secure. Every system is vulnerable somewhere. And so when you layer your defenses in order to make it harder and harder and harder, generally speaking, threat actors, unless they're targeting you specifically, such as a nation state or something of that sort, somebody who's really coming after you specifically, the people who are just out there fishing for information and trying to get whatever they can, they're going to go after somebody who's much less prepared. They're going to go after somebody that has fewer defenses, fewer challenges in the way to get that information. So we want to be a porcupine. We want to make it absolutely difficult for you to get to us and make it quite thorny. So there are multiple layers, ogres, security. There's actually a product called Security Onion. The play on words, tech people do some funny things when it comes to naming. Multiple layers of defense. I already talked about over 9,000 malicious IP addresses blocked by external threat providers. Again, this is as of yesterday. We also blocked via URL. I think that's a much larger list. I can't remember. It's a big list. It's a very big list. And it's again updated as often as hourly. And over 195,000 blocks in the last 70 days. And then we have approximately 191 phishing messages detected and handled daily.
Could you give me the description for TTP as technical something?
Tactics, techniques, and procedures. TTPs, tactics, techniques, procedures. Yes.
Yes.
When there's a phishing attack, do they tend to send it to every email address
No.
in the house, or do they just?
It depends, right? If it's one of the generic ones out there, believe it or not, these types of malicious activities can be bought as a service online. You can spend a few $100s of Bitcoin and buy as a service and say, hey, send out all sorts of stuff. But again, it depends on the threat actor. It depends on the level of sophistication of the attack. And so sometimes it's very targeted. Everybody here has seen possible impersonation come across your email at some point, right? That's a tag saying that somebody might impersonate somebody in a senior level of authority, Speaker of the House, President Pro Tem, somebody that's in mine, right? I'm a targeted official of the General Assembly. And so anything that comes in that is not clearly from me is going to be at least labeled as possible impersonation. Gift card scams are the ones, right, that tend to come through. Hey, I'm in a meeting, can you buy, 5 iTunes cards for whatever purpose? That one is so incredibly effective, believe it or not, across the industry as a whole. I don't know why yet, but it's really effective. And it happens. I know there's incidents in state government that has happened within the last handful of years, where somebody actually bid on it, spent thousands of dollars buying these cards and went, oh no. And information security analysts had to respond. And obviously that can sometimes trigger a legal review or legal response as well, depending on how that influences. So no, they're not always broad-based. They're often targeted, and they're often targeted based off of varying levels of authority within an organization. Anything you want to add to that, Ring?
We've seen a variety of targeting methods. We have seen attacks go out to all House, all Senate, not the lists, but collective memberships. Oddly enough, one of the more frequent ones is based on your district. When your constituents will have you all on a list somewhere and will have their email compromised, and that list will go into the scammers database and will go out to just Franklin County or Chittenden County. It's kind of interesting sometimes, the people who are grouped together.
That's actually a great segue into the point. So about the effectiveness of some of our partnerships. A handful of years ago, we partnered with the FBI in response to proactive response, I should say, to a concern about us providing convenient information for legislators online. So we used to provide a single list that you could click on and download and contact information for all legislators. Well, guess what the bad threat actors are doing too? So they were starting to download it. And, it was a business decision at that point in time to keep it up. And that was largely based off of the various powers that be that were in charge at that point in time. And it wasn't until we had that partnership with the FBI out of the Albany field office, they were able to come up and brief the powers that be about the importance of removing that list. And we have since had the appropriate level of buy-in to prevent that. Now, you as an individual or lobbyist or whoever who might need that information can certainly still obtain that. You just send us a request and we'll provide that to you on a case-by-case basis. But it's a much more personal level of service versus just leaving it out there for somebody to grab. Happy to answer any questions if there are any that remain. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for your
Good work. Yeah, I think,
I
are we?
have one more question.
Oh, yeah.
How much of your time is spent on cybersecurity versus everything else?
So I would say that probably around honestly, about 10% of my time, my personal time spent on cybersecurity at this point. Rain is our lead at this point from an analysis perspective.
100% for you, or
It's a significant percentage. I would probably say 85 to 90.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so Rain does a ton of cyber analysis daily. And so if Rain's absent, my percentage goes up significantly. In the event that we get that 3 a.m. phone call or that alert on our device, sometimes quite obnoxiously loud in the middle of the night, we wake up and we deal with it. We'll take care of it at that point in time. We are looking at improving our ability to sleep at night by trying to find a budget-friendly managed security operations center, SOC. You've heard about those in other organizations as well. And that is something that we're actively engaged in, working with our SPR consultant partners on as we speak. Sometimes those services are quite expensive.
Are we still using Norwich? I did not ask.
So
The
we,
executive branch or
the
digital.
legislative branch, do not actually use Norwich as
Yeah.
a SOC. The executive branch does use, leverage some portion of Norwich as a SOC. I would certainly defer to them for that was information.
So if an individual email comes to a member or is attempted to send in and we determine that it's malice or dangerous, you just don't deliver it. You send it off to Never Land and
That is correct. So we have two, I would say two domains which we have large amount of autonomy when it comes to our authority, and that is anything that is known malicious or known illegal. In the event that there's something known malicious, we will act without asking permission. The same is true when it comes to known illegal. We will act without asking permission. If it's beyond that, we will typically engage with the party that is impacted to seek permission. Or otherwise provide information necessary to help them navigate that situation.
so are we going to review somewhere in the process here to make sure that I'm not a member of these parties that send it to better than half or just less than half of the legislators that
You could probably talk with legislative IT offline about that.
So if you have a very specific concern, we can certainly address that.
no, I just don't want to be, I just don't want to add to it.
Yep.
We'll talk.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate the vigilance, and that's something that I would encourage all staff and legislators, elected officials in our organization, frankly, members of the public that seek our support as well, is to have a healthy level of skepticism anytime that you are engaging with something that is unexpected.
Trust in it.
Okay.
Other questions?
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Janet, when are we back?
We are back
3:00.
this afternoon after the floor. So I'm talking with
Take
the
a
witness from
Thank
NCSL,
you.
Okay.
more AI conversations.